does.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the City of Portsmouth Sister City Committee, Thursday, August 20th, 2026. We'll take attendance. We have Robert Kennard. Here. Mary Carey Foley.
Here.
Robert Sullivan.
Yes.
Christine Freeze.
Here.
We're missing Stephanie Secord and Ben Van Camp, but the chair, Rich Blaylock, is present. And we have a guest, Chris Tebow, principal from the high school here joining us.
Hi, everyone.
All right, so we'll start off with, I don't believe we have the minutes ready from July 18th with us. So we can address those next meeting. We do have the Sister City Special Reserve Fund donation letter.
We had another discussion with finance, and the way that we've written it with the ability to choose how the money is used, they are strongly discouraging us from doing because of the tracking of it within the fund. So if you have ideas about other ways that we can respect the wishes of donors I have a special affinity for Nichinan or Sant'Arcangelo, without stipulating in that form letter, I'm donating money and I want it used for X. Because they said it creates a nightmare of like accounts or funds to be able to say.
That's true.
Well, I understand how, you know what I mean? They're gonna keep track of the money in a fund, but then if they have to separate.
It all goes in one fund.
Right. But now if they have to track, like you made a donation to Halifax, you made a donation to the Nichinan, you made a donation to Sant'Arcangelo. Now, how do they separate that?
But once the money's in the fund, they don't have to separate.
Yeah.
But when I go to spend $200,
They
how
just
do I
have to
show?
look at, they just have to look at that letter.
But they're gonna see like,
Talking about reporting for things like the MS9 and 10
yeah,
annual, and this is the kind of thing I do.
But it all goes into one fund.
Funds. It does go into one fund, but they're saying not to stipulate on there that it will be used for that one sister city, because we have no way of tracing. I'm spending $35 on Pepsi for this reception.
But
I'm only
actually,
taking it
the
out of
city
money,
City manager is the one that has to certify it's permitted by the trust.
right?
She just looks at the letter.
so say Mary Carey Foley donates, $500 to Nichinan.
Yes,
Um,
not to Nichinan,
No, for
to the fund.
to the fund, but she checks off the Nichinan box, like I want it to be used for
But then this
Nichinan.
committee says, we want to buy the mayor and Nichinan dinner
Yeah,
and pay for it out of the fund.
right, but like,
So that goes to the city manager, who looks at it, and she's the one supposed to certify compliance with the fund.
Yeah.
She looks at the letter from Mary Carey.
Right.
saying,
right. So then say we spend $350 on the dinner, right? Now there's still $150. How do they keep track of that that's supposed to stay for Nichinan and not go to some other sister city activity? That doesn't involve.
how does the city manager know, okay, there's still $150 in that fund
You know what I
when
mean?
we've got 50 people donating
Well, I
the
think
fund?
that is a problem.
Yeah.
But it will be a simple solution, which is just that Mary Carey, when she makes the donation, stipulates that with regard to the principal, it has to be spent to Nichinan. And what that would mean is that up to, say, the $500 that she puts in, when the manager checks to see if it's a compliance with the fund, she just says, "Is we still within the first $500?" And
But who tracks that? I think that's the problem is finance is saying they
well, you
can't.
can tell looking at the letter. The letter's going to say, "Here's $500."
I mean, how much is left in the fund from that?
Right, but
from
in
that
say
donation?
10 years from now, we've gotten, 500 donations for the Nichinan and 600 donations that's 500 letters and 600 letters. You see what I'm saying? It's
And
not
I
gonna,
asked
you're gonna have to
about-
have like a whole accountant person just for each one.
Yeah, and I asked if we couldn't do like accounts or something, and there isn't a way to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because the note I got was to ask to simplify the process. As they can't add the donation instruction PDF to the online donation portal. He seemed willing to provide report of donations to this committee. So we can kind of be the gatekeepers, on that. We're like, we get a report back of the donations, you know what I mean? And then we know, okay, Mary Carey made a donation, you know, for the Nichinon. Let's plan how to, you know, spend that and then,
$500, because you're in the fund, start to earn income,
yeah.
but you're only concerned about the $500, because the income is for the
Yeah.
committee.
I know, but they're saying that they can't keep track, you know what I mean? Like, they're keep track of the fund as one fund, but they're not gonna separate it out into.
And I know what they're saying, because my
track
trustees
of
funds are
Nichinon.
like this. We had when I started about 16 different funds or 16 different donations of trusts into our fund 82, 83. And every year I had to say, of what I spent from Fund 83, $12.75 came from this particular fund. And the other $12.75 for that book I bought came from this fund, because that's what's left over in it's a nightmare. I do.
So what
Sure.
controls how those monies can be spent is the terms contained in the donation letter.
Right.
So you just adjust the terms of the donation letter.
That's what,
So-
that's what
so
they're
it's a
asking.
recommendation.
That's what they're asking.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly what they're asking.
Yeah.
So that you put in the notes field, and I assume even on the online thing, there's a notes field when you go in to do like a payment or a donation online, and you say, I love Nichinon. I'd love it if,
If the committee.
yeah,
Yeah, if possible, it's more of a.
without
suggestion.
tying our.
So it's really simple,
Yeah,
nothing. It's just
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, they're, I
add
think
one
they're,
sentence in the letter.
yeah, I think they're worried just about that wording in the letter, as opposed to, I want you to spend it this way, like, I'm mostly interested in.
Right, right. Does
Does that
that
sound reasonable as a donor?
make
Mhm.
sense?
Okay.
Just wanna make sure that
We'll
everyone,
just play with the wording on there. and
yeah,
then we'll get them to. And then that will be on the portal so that people can go into the clerks or whatever that is on whatever web page it is.
Now, just to complete the thought, so that takes care of donations from people who agree with the template or the form letter.
Correct.
Entirely possible. Somebody else could say, you know, I'd like to donate $1 million to this, but put these conditions on it.
Mhm.
And on those cases, they would have to set up a separate account. You
Right.
wouldn't do it for $500, but you would do it for $1 million.
Right.
So
yeah.
It'd be nice to have to deal with that.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I know, that's the kind of headache I could deal with.
Yeah, we'll deal with that one.
Um,
My coffee's from.
and just to fill you in, Chris, we're trying to create this fund so that we can accept donations and have better welcoming, have gifts, you know, welcoming ceremonies for like when students from Nichinon come or from Santa Carlo. Whenever we visit them, they honor us.
Heard this.
Yeah,
The
they-
city stops.
They throw the red carpet and everything. So we're trying to be more reciprocal. You know, if their mayor comes or something, then we can, you know, I mean, the mayor has his fund, but
Yeah.
ideally we want to do this stuff without taxpayer money. Kind of, that's the, you know.
Yeah, no, I think this is great. I've been read into this just a little bit through the transition, but it sounded like that's been a challenge the last several cycles.
It has, and I'm not on the agenda, but it's related to this, so if I can just
Yeah.
comment that I've been talking to Sam Tombarelli and to Amy Boylan from UNH, who we partnered with last year to work when the folks came over for the film festival from Sant'Arcangelo. And the students are coming October 3rd to 11th from Sant'Arcangelo. And Sam and Amy have asked if the library could host a joint reception on Saturday, the 10th, because they were trying to organize two different things. And the library was not available Thursday night. And then when we started talking, we said, yeah, it's gonna be the same people. Why have two
Correct,
Yeah.
two different things? So lunchtime-ish, we're meeting tomorrow to talk out details, but around lunchtime, Saturday, the 10th, we'll invite the students, their host families, and I've heard a rumor that the mayor and Tiziano, the city councilor, are also gonna be coming that week. I don't know the dates yet. But so we're gonna have a delegation the first week of October, and this is precisely the kind of thing that it would be nice to have, because we've talked to UNH and to the high school and the sister city committees, and all of us are scrambling for enough money to just cater tacos, you know, we'll just like So this is,
And I'm willing to make a contribution to
me
the
too,
trust.
we get that.
And I was actually hoping Mary Carey would make it with me and be like, oh, something we could do together. And but
But you're gonna tie our hands, right? You're
no,
gonna say,
no,
"Only
no,
use-"
no. We'll do it entirely outside that special revenue account if it doesn't work the way we want it to.
Oh.
We'll just pay the bill.
Okay.
So.
That works too, but you don't get the deduction, you know? It's nice. Okay,
No, it's
Sorry.
okay. I knew they were coming. No, thank you. I knew they were coming and I forgot what dates. All right, next up, we have the letter to Halifax, mayor's letter to Halifax. So I guess it was mailed out.
don't know,
Um,
Stephanie did that.
yeah, and the mayor's letter to Sant'Angelo was also,
And I wrote to the mayor today, but it was late in the day, so he hasn't answered
Okay.
about whether they received that. But I also wrote to Tiziano this week with the questions that the committee had. That was all about electricity and how much space there had to be between the lights and the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
poles
Yeah.
and all that. So I sent him a list of all their questions. Haven't heard back from either of them, so I'm gonna.
keep, yeah.
"Come on, you guys,
Yeah.
just tell us the answer.
No, it's good.
Council, do we get a copy of the letter that the mayor?
So, no, I was only informed that the
No.
mayor went out without warning to us. I have not seen the letter. Did you have
Oh,
a?
no, I thought Stephanie said it. I didn't.
No,
I did not.
I'll try to get, actually I do. Yeah, let me send it to you guys right now.
Did you mention us in there?
I have both. Or, I
Well, we're going.
think he doesn't mention us, no.
I will be sending my delegates.
Yeah, that'd be a great, yeah.
We're
Sorry, guys.
talking about Halifax. So when we, so I think you're familiar with Nicianan and Sant'Angelo because of the student trips. We have 11 sister city or friendship cities, most of which are kind of dormant.
I just
But
sent them.
we had a New Year's greeting with our friendship city of Portsmouth, England. And we met the mayor from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and said, gee, we should be friends too. And then we looked into it and found we have some shared history between us. And so we're now talking about visiting Halifax and determining whether a sister city is a good idea.
Difference between a sister city and a friendship city.
There is, sister city is, it's on steroids.
Oh, we feel that a scouting mission would be in order to
Scouting
make
mission.
sure it's the right kind of place.
Right,
And Rich and I have volunteered.
Yes.
To go to Nova Scotia on
Yeah.
a scouting mission.
Yes.
Delegates.
Yes.
somebody has to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
The other one that might involve you at some point is our sister city or friendship city, whichever it is in Hungary. Do you remember which it is? So we have both.
Friendship.
Is it friendship?
Solnok?
Zolnik. Yeah, it's about 40 miles from Budapest. And neither city has any record of why we are.
Yeah, so
We
they've
have
been,
the form
and they've been reaching out to us to be like, what do you guys know? We don't know anything.
and I had
Um,
our archivists look into it, nothing. No
Yeah.
newspaper articles, the
And,
year it happened. No, we have the date, we have the
Dave, we still
signature.
really buy.
And Mary Carey, do you have any recollection at all? No,
Ah,
nobody knows
and,
why.
You know, Hungary, they're going through some political change and stuff, so we were kind of like
And
trying to figure everything out.
their mayor is coming over here this fall and would potentially like to come to Portsmouth, so. Talk about that when we get to Hungary.
yeah, that's new to me.
Just so you know, they're interested in things like student exchanges. So just so you're aware.
In answer to your question 20 minutes ago, Jeff Collins.
All right.
Yeah.
Big.
No, you're good, very, very. Do you guys want me to read the letter to Halifax? I have it here. So,
You know what'd be
Um,
nice about reading it, the people who watch at home will.
yeah, yeah.
That's true. In the
All
record.
right. On to the Honorable Andy Fillmore, Mayor of Halifax. Dear Mayor Fillmore, I bring you summer greetings and hope you're enjoying the same Atlantic maritime breeze as we are in Portsmouth. I write to follow up on our brief conversation at the reception at the consulate in Boston and Senator Shaheen's ongoing interest in supporting New Hampshire's alliances in Canada. Our Sister City Committee has asked me to invite you to consider the idea of establishing a formal Friendship City agreement during their virtual meeting with you on the Portsmouth UK Lord Mayor's holiday call. They were struck by all the connections between Halifax and Portsmouth, as well as the fact that Portsmouth, New Hampshire does not have a sister friendship city in Canada. Halifax, just 606 miles away, would be our closest geographically as well as in so many other ways. We share so many of the deep connections and parallels that are the foundation of two sister city relationships. First among them are the exchanges between our citizens. We are incredibly disappointed to have lost an estimated 30% of our annual Canadian tourism over the past year due to circumstances that elude our mutual control. Affirming the mission of Sister Cities International to promote people-to-people friendship and understanding is needed now more than ever. They're the reasons why a friendship agreement makes sense. Number one, maritime history. Both of our communities share significant histories as strategic Atlantic shipbuilding and trade ports. We both celebrate and honor our history now as popular scenic coastal destinations that highlight our respective maritime heritages. Number two, heritage. Between 1850 and 1900, over 300,000 French Canadians migrated to New Hampshire, particularly for industrial jobs. As of 2025, Canada was the #1 source of immigrants to New Hampshire. Number three, maritime navy. Portsmouth shares formal navy connections and visiting vessels often going or coming from Halifax after stopping in Portsmouth. Number four, history. After leaving Portsmouth in 1775, John Wentworth, who had been our royal governor since 1767, became royal governor of Halifax. Between 1760 and 1768, roughly 8,000 men and women from New England settled in the Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia and in the upper St. John River Valley of present-day New Brunswick. During the American Revolution, roughly 35,000 loyalists from the New England joined Governor Wentworth in migrating to Nova Scotia. Number five, 1917 relief effort. After the tragic explosion in Halifax Harbor on December 6, 1917, Portsmouth joined the relief effort as trains leaving Boston collected resources and aid workers along the way. If you agree, I'd be pleased to draft a formal Friendship City agreement for your consideration. In the meantime, members of our Sister City Committee have suggested some of them might take a self-funded trip to Halifax. And of course, they would want to coordinate that with your office to schedule a visit to meet with you. I look forward to the opportunities for our Pass the Cross. Best wishes, Dagan McCachran, Mayor.
That's great.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
perfect. And to end on that too is nice.
Very
Then
nice. Yeah.
We can show
You're quite
smiling.
At least have to carry a copy of that letter with us as we walk around town.
Yeah, right.
Here's all the reasons you should vote for us.
The Henderson, no. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good letter. Do you guys like? I'll share the one to Sant'Angelo as well. That's the next. This one's shorter. Dear Mayor Sacchetti, I write to you with summer greetings and with an update on the City of Portsmouth's plans for your kind and generous gift of the author luminaries. Luminaries. I gotta throw my accent in there. Installation directed by Tiziano Corbelli. The Public Art Review Committee, whom you met during your visit here in April, has secured the approval of our city council to install the artwork in Vaughan Mall, the location you visited. Having completed the underground infrastructure work at that site, the Department of Public Works will now move forward with the landscaping and service work next spring. That work includes the poles and electrical service needed for the installation. Please ask the fabricator to advise us on any technical details such as voltage that may be needed from us to have the work installed. It would also be helpful to know the time frame for completion and shipping. Please let the poet and fabricator know we are committed to the proper and prominent display of their work for the enjoyment of residents and visitors to our city. We enjoy the Facebook posts from Sant'Angelo that remind us of our deep connections and parallel lives, where I learned I should offer my hearty congratulations on your being named president of the Citaslow International Network. Yeah.
Citaslow.
Citaslow?
Yeah.
All right, that's the city slow is for us.
Like
right?
slow food.
Yeah. That notice reminded me to bring forward your invitation for the city of Portsmouth to consider membership to advance. As you said, the culture and vision of development among cities that value their territories, their local products, their environment, and their communities. That is certainly the goal of Portsmouth's commitment to our friendship and sister cities, most especially Sant'Angelo. I am proud to be mayor of a city with such deep roots in our global community and hope to keep the connection between the families of Portsmouth and Sant'Angelo shining brightly. With best personal regards, Dagan McCachran, Mayor.
Nice. So the follow-up that I sent was some more detailed questions that Park sent about things like the voltage and the sizes and shapes and stuff, so I will make sure everybody has the
I have an
answers to that.
idea.
AC or DC.
So if we were to take a picture of the granite bench in front of the Sheraton Hotel,
Yeah,
which lists all the Italian names of the people that got moved out of the North End, who came from San Arcangelo,
Yeah,
and we sent that over to them, they would read it and see all the same names as the people who
for
live
sure.
on their street and work with them.
Yeah.
And it would really help like form the bond.
It would, like a framed picture of that
Yeah,
with the
that'd be
names listed that we could give to the mayor the next trip
if only
over.
we had a fund that we could buy frames with.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll buy them. Outside this whole.
Yeah, yeah.
Structure.
But no, good idea, Bob. I think that you're, yeah.
I know, I was impressed with it when I
Yeah,
first read it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're right, they're gonna go, oh, those are my cousins.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that connection makes the connection more than anything, right? Because it is,
Maybe a little paragraph explaining why these names are on this bench.
yeah, yeah. You know, if I saw Blaylock and investigate it and
See if I can't get my intern to do the picture, she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
While she's still here.
Have her talk to some of the older Italian residents who can tell her stuff.
Well, we could have the picture for the reception. And show, and have the folks there, who are the Italian Americans.
yeah,
Who could
we could make it
talk
part of
about the
that.
photo with,
Marconi's, Geraci's, Semprini's, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, we good on?
I think so, to be continued.
Yep. All right, next we got Nichinon cherry trees. So there's, I guess the Japan American Society of New Hampshire is gonna do a CIP citizen request. Working with the city arborist foreman Max Wyatt on a long-term plan to make the South Mill Pond cherry trees more accessible, especially for blooming blossom season. The plan will align the crosswalk from the playground parking lot and raise the level of the lawn around the trees. The older trees are nearing their lifespan, so Max plans to graft some cuttings off the new saplings, so there are replacement trees available. The project will follow the completion of the municipal building expansion, but the thought is to get this in the CIP now for future funding and future design and implementation. Note, the older trees were funded by Nichinon, but are not distinctive, while the younger trees tucked into the hillside are actually descendants of the Washington DC Yoshino cherry trees. The Trees and Greenery Committee will review the idea at their September meeting. Hopefully both Trees and Greenery and Sister City will endorse this CIP citizen request, which will be submitted September 18th.
Is that really a cost for such a high cost that it has to be in CIP?
I believe it's anything over $5,000,
I thought it was like 25 or
25
50.
grand, yeah.
Just
City
wanted to
manager
know
has, I
how
think,
much it
authority to
costs.
do like 25 grand or but.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was surprised it would cost that much for.
But even so,
arborists,
that's the kind of
But
thing
we
you wanna
would
bring to the city
absolutely
council
be happy.
yeah,
to get that extra publicity and.
I think,
Agreed.
so I would entertain a motion to endorse the Japan American Society of New Hampshire.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or discussion? No, like you said, I think this is a wonderful thing, and we don't want to lose those cherry trees, and I think they should be celebrated, but. All in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
Aye, chair votes aye. 5-0.
Can we get a tour
Get a tour?
of
We should.
the area, the trees, what
Yeah.
visually see what they're
We
doing?
could try to do that next
I
meeting or something.
love-
We need somebody from the committee or Max.
Yeah, no, I would like that too as well, but yeah, we can try to,
Make that one of our,
yeah.
Tour of planned area is what you're
Yeah.
saying, yeah.
where are the other trees? The descendants from Washington DC, where are those? In the city, where are the,
They're down there. Is there some, well, there's the ones down on Series Street too, right? Are those donated or?
I don't know.
yeah.
I remember when
These-
these ones went in, but I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
I just know these.
but no, it would be good to find all that out and to know that,
I'd
and
like to see it.
then we could share that information, right, with our sisters and our friends and our.
Yeah.
You talking about where all the cherry trees?
Yeah, and which ones are descendants from the trees in Washington?
The one at the Wetwoods from Nichinon.
It is?
Yeah.
Cause Stephanie was saying the older trees were from Nichinon down here, the ones here. But then there's younger ones tucked into the hillside are actually descendants from the trees in DC.
It sounds like it's still here, if it's tucked into the hills.
Yeah, I think they're still talking about the
So-
same.
How about if I talk to Max and ask if he could come to our next meeting and show us? Cause I
Yeah.
assume he knows what,
That would be awesome.
okay.
That would be perfect.
The lifespan.
All right. Anything else on the cherry trees? We got next Portsmouth Peace Treaty Day bell ringing. Just Saturday, September 5th, which is Labor Day weekend. Ceremony starts at 3:15. The committee, I assume Piscataqua Savings Bank. The committee is invited to attend the annual bell ringing ceremony. No special guests are anticipated. The ceremony takes place right in front of Piscataqua Savings Bank at 15 Pleasant Street, starting at 3:15 with the reading of the governor's proclamation and letters from New Hampshire congressional delegation. The shipyard whistle blows at 3:47, the moment the treaty was signed in 1905. Then the church bells of Portsmouth and participants' bell ringing are rung. There will also be a bell ringing at the Portsmouth Senior Center. To the rear of the building and where a Portsmouth Peace Treaty Living Memorial Cherry Tree is planted. I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Singers?
So we understand this committee is all invited, obviously. Being Labor Day weekend, I understand it's tough.
I'll be-
But I'm gonna try to make it myself. Anyone wants to add onto the bell ringing? Portsmouth Peace Treaty. All right, and next we have Chris Tebow, new high school principal. I want to thank Chris for joining us today and ready to serve our students at Portsmouth High School. But we're here to this committee as kind of obviously to help out the sister city relationships, but we're here also to work with you. We understand the exchange programs we have with Nichinon and Santa Congelo are so successful. And we just want to continue that and make it better. But I don't know if you'd like to introduce yourself to the group.
Things. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here. The Sister City, Friendship City partnership, something I heard about pretty early on in the process, and it's unique and special. I've worked in several other public high schools in New Hampshire. I grew up in New Hampshire, grew up in the seacoast of New Hampshire. And I don't know that many other communities, if any, have opportunities like this. And it's an opportunity for the city for sure, but a really special one for the kids, especially high school age kids. The exchanges are incredible. The fact that the community at the high school really makes a special effort to be inclusive about those. I was so happy to hear that the committee started today by talking about some of the funding structures. My understanding is that's been a struggle historically. And that the level that we're received at is maybe not the same that we welcome our guests into. And I know that's something that's really important to us, to our kids, to our staff. So I look forward to being a part of this. I'm hopeful to go to Nichinon in April this year and maybe make a trip to Italy as well in the coming years. If you need anything from me, I'm hoping to be a partner. Please feel free to reach out. I know that the high school portion of the visit, it's part of it. It's not the full thing, but really excited to be a part of this whole thing. So thank you.
Thank you.
What do you think about Halifax?
I would love to go. I said it's a self-funded trip to Halifax.
Yeah.
No, I've never been, but it sounds neat. I am interested in the so you said 11? Was that how many of those relationships we have?
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, let me look up.
Pretty sure I've got
And there are 2 exchanges. There's the Nichinon exchange,
Nichinon and Sant'Arcangelo,
Santa Congelo.
right? And they're the
Okay.
ones that are coming in October, and I believe that Nichinon students are skipping a year.
I think it's every other. I think we go there and then they come here. I don't know if that part's new, but we're going there in April,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah. And there are no other, at this point, there are no other.
No, I think our other closest one is Carrickfergus, but we've not done a school trip
Right.
They've come here. We never went there.
The students did? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Are there separate other visits aside from what happens with the school?
Do you want to talk?
So, well, normally, Ben Van Camp, who's head of the chamber, is a member of the committee too. He's just not here today. We have been trying to set up, we explored setting up a Portsmouth trip to Portsmouth, England, and seeing if there was enough interest. It turned out there wasn't really enough interest. So we've kind of been looking at just exploring kind of that kind of
It
idea.
might be interest to Italy, given the connection.
Yeah, I think there would be more interest in Italy, especially given the families that live here and there's just more interest. This committee, we've realized it's all about boots on the ground, right? If you don't have those motivated, passionate boots, that relationship is really hard to maintain.
Yeah, sure.
So Niccinon and Sant'Angelo have kind of been rising to the top, even though Sant'Angelo is technically only a friendship city.
Okay.
But they've just been, the passionate boots on the ground have been keeping it thriving.
Wrong right now,
yeah. I mean, I've already met their mayor twice, you know what I mean? And yeah, I feel bad I haven't visited.
So there's a little bit of ebb and flow to that, just people.
It is, and again, council changes every 2 years. If you change, there's just a lot of changes, right? There's changes over there too in their administration, or and if the person who has that was carrying that relationship, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Switches roles. But so technically our sister cities are Nichinan, Japan, Parnu, Estonia, Carrickfergus, Ireland, Northern Ireland, yeah. East Antrim.
That's part of.
That's part of that, right?
This is
That's
part of
why
East Antrim.
It gets confusing that's how we list it on the website. But Agadir, Morocco, Severodinsk, Russia, and Ktas, Ghana. And then we also have friendship cities with Portsmouth, England, Solnok, Hungary, and Sant'Angelo. We have invited Nelson, New Zealand to be a friendship city. I was kind of the passionate boots on the ground on that one. I've been there like 7 times and I kept going, and I ended up becoming friends with the mayor over there. And so I went and presented to their council, and we're like, hey, we're both on the East Coast. We're both, you know what I mean? Like dealing with, housing costs and climate change, and, why don't we communicate? And they haven't, answered our letter.
I'm gonna send it again.
Okay.
I don't trust international mail.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to the Antipodes, I don't know. It's not like them to not.
Yeah, I would
Say
think they're very
anything.
nice. When I went and visited and presented, they gave me a big gift of, shells that were crafted out of ceramics. They weren't actual shells because I could bring up the customs. But those are up in the mayor's office, now. And but when I did that, I learned that they would be interested in being a friendship city, but not a sister city, because their term of sister city required allocating funds.
Oh.
And they were like, we're not going to up our budget, because to be friends with you, kind of thing. So that was we've learned a little bit, but we're
Yeah, I
still
wonder
in
if
the
that's what the
process.
difference is between the friendships. It seems like there's a higher level of commitment to sister city than to friendship, but I've never seen a definition of.
No, and I think people have different
Yeah.
definitions
Yeah.
too, which makes it a little.
And so what you were talking about today, there is no existing sister city fund right now. But the idea is to get something started, one fund, so that when these kinds of things do happen, there's a mechanism.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how long have we been a committee? 3 years?
Couple of years.
Yeah.
We were first a blue ribbon blue ribbon committee, and we
Yeah.
became a permanent standing committee this past year.
So even if,
We've tried to set up some of these things like the funds, but also how we act so that when council and mayors change, we can be stable.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so there's a playbook, try to set up a playbook, try to set up money. When we got here, we were scrambling, and, there used to be a Blue Ribbon Sister City Committee in, 2018 or something?
so.
And then there was one, way before that. When Mary Carey's mother was mayor, she kind of really expanded was kind of the ambassador of Portsmouth, and really did the trips. You'll see a lot of like gifts and stuff, up front, and those are all
There's a lot
mostly
of
from her
pictures
trips,
too,
and
yeah.
some of the stuff in the Nichinon Theater, yeah. But really, we got to give credit to her mother for kind of starting that and making, being the first passionate boots on the ground and building these relationships. But so we started off trying to create a trust fund for this, and then that kind of got denied, and
Too complicated.
they were
I already spent the money, so it's too late.
they were worried residents were going to try to self-fund trips to Nichinon and get tax, get
Oh.
a tax. Like they're going to make $1,000 donation and then pay for their own trip tax-free, and
Like donations to the municipality.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have thought about that.
Tax exempt. Wow.
so the trusts.
So if you're the city and I give you $1,000 and then you use it to buy me a ticket to Italy, I'm going to
That's tax
Italy
exempt,
without
yeah.
paying taxes on that money.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have thought about
They
that.
actually said this.
Yeah.
Clearly not evil enough.
Oh, well, that's new. So the fund avoids the weirdness around that.
The fund makes it simpler and allows the city manager to determine that the money is being used appropriately.
And they're not gonna be like a city allocation of funds. This is all through.
Correct.
donations.
I mean, the city.
She'll be allocating it.
Allocation
So the
fund.
city
could
could
be.
donate through.
Well, what would happen is somebody would have to, for some articulated purpose, go to the city council and make that presentation
Oh.
that way.
Makes sense. Do you have a target figure? No.
Well, I like the $1 million one.
The $1 million sounds good, yeah.
Yeah. I talked today to the Hungarian, so Sister Cities now has these roundtables by country. And so I talked to the person in charge of the Hungarian roundtable. And when I get the invitation, I'll mail it to everyone because the whole committee is invited to these. There are 8 cities in the US that have Hungarian sister cities. And the one I talked to who's in charge is Fort Worth. They are a nonprofit organization. They have 3 or 4 full-time staff, so they are not our committee. But I told him about our interest in things outside the high school or outside the school visits like sports. And he said that one of the things they do with their Italian sister city, which is not far from Sant'Arcangelo, it's Reggio Emilia, kind of on the other side of the peninsula, is they take the high school volleyball and basketball teams every 4 years, and they have this mini Olympics. So the kids get US Olympics outfits, and then all the sister cities of Reggio are invited. And they have this little UN festival for like a week and sports competitions.
It's cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's like, oh, that sounds
Yeah.
fun.
We'd have to raise a lot of money to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're getting at sponsorships or something.
We're at like the dinner and picture frame level.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now,
Yeah.
self-funded trip.
Yeah.
But we have talked about sport being a universal language, to try to, in the past, we've had, you have a submarine here from,
Yeah,
whatever, they'll have like a soccer game, where if like I think an English boat was over, right? It was a
Mhm.
British boat. And so we had a big soccer game at community campus, just stuff like that. So when I was in high school, it was kind of through the high school. It was weird. It was more organized by Jim Nukas. But we did a basketball exchange with Poland and Belgium. And then we did it with Ireland. And so I hosted, 2 kids from Ireland one week and then 2 kids from Belgium the next week. And we all had played basketball, and the girls team was here, the boys team, and it was basically the varsity teams. And then the next year we went there and did a week in Poland and then did a week in Belgium.
Wow.
And stayed with them. And then it, you know what I mean? And it kept going. So then like whoever you hosted, you went and visited
The next
the
year.
next time. So then like, those Belgian kids that we stayed with, they came the next time, and then they went to Ireland and did that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's just one experience that I had. But I know there's a lot of people involved, a lot of organization on all sides, right? And all parties involved.
When you went to Antrim, because the other thing they told me in Fort Worth is that they do kind of delegations of people interested
Chamber
in the,
was involved in some
They're-
big way, but it was just basically a city delegation with a lot of city officials.
it
Who,
was all city.
Metro County Antrim.
Yeah, yeah, because Fort Worth goes to Budapest, that's their sister city, and they take anybody who wants to go, they organize it, kind of what we were talking about with Ben.
Yep.
But they're organizing it, but everyone pays their own way. But it's for the adults, which is another thing I'd like to see, is like something that is not just the teenagers. I think it's a great
Yeah.
program, I love it. But I think it would be nice for the other people who come to our receptions who are like, you know, we love this sister city thing, to be able to go, hey, you wanna go like 10 days in
Yeah.
Italy? And
Here's the important fact about the two Carrick Fergus trips that took place, or maybe important. I went on one of them, and what I know is the city did not pay for me to go there, nor did I pay for me to go there. So money came from somewhere. My thought, and I still think it was Carrick Fergus,
wow,
brought us over there. So
that's
Yeah.
very generous.
We have, so like, I think Nichinon, their high school, it's like, they're like one of the best baseball high schools or
Really?
something. Yeah, I know. And then, you know, we have this 89 win streak and we're like, well, you guys have some baseball records. And then I'm being a little selfish as a baseball player, but I was like, how cool would it be to, you know, have a baseball game over there or over here, whether it be students or community members. I also play in the Coastal New England
You were
Baseball League.
saying that.
Yeah, and it's like half teachers in
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school. So
That
you
would
know,
be
it's
cool.
Costa and
Yeah,
Eric Moore.
Costa,
And, yeah. But just you know what I mean, the fact that we're both passionate about that one, it's cool. And that basketball was a much easier one to do because you don't bring all this
Bring your
equipment,
equipment, yeah.
right? You're not bringing anything, you're just bringing your shoes. And I don't think football would happen, you know, but volleyball, you know, soccer, I mean, you know, you could do, yeah. But, all right,
could I say something before we
yeah,
leave?
yeah.
I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of everybody who's here and members who are not here. As you know now better than we do, this city has really excellent schools at every level. People from other places move here
That's
just
excellent.
to send their children to these schools. And the top of the school pyramid, of course, is the high school, which makes you one of the most important people in the city right now. And
No pressure.
and you follow in the footsteps of some really excellent high school principals. You heard a couple of the names tonight. Jeff Collins, Mary Lyons. And we all, therefore, for these reasons, really welcome you and wish you the greatest success possible.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm so happy to be here. The schools are excellent. The community is excellent. The city, and a lot of it comes down to the value that is placed on public education, right? And I've worked in places where that's not as much the case, and it makes everything more challenging. The school system is a reflection of the city and the community as a whole, and my job is stewardship. And for as long as I'm here, and I'm hoping that's a very, very long time, I will do everything I can to keep up with the excellence and to keep moving the high school forward. Thank you.
No, thank you, Chris. We're very excited to have you and I really appreciate you coming today. You know, as a graduate of Portsmouth High School, yeah, we're glad to have you and I look forward to working with you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Any other business? Or any public comment? Is there anyone online?
No,
Anyone waiting in the, no?
no.
All right, I'd entertain the one thing we gotta talk about, scheduling next meeting.
Oh, yes.
So now that it's football season, I can't do Thursdays because I'll have a game. We discussed the second Wednesday at 6:30. No,
Which part? The Wednesday, the 6:30, both?
the second,
Nice.
yeah. So we can put out a poll online and try to figure out,
Yep,
we could try that.
we can do that.
You know, I mean, one option is we take a month off too, but I know we get stuff in the works that we don't want to let hanging.
And Robert, yours is 5 o'clock. 5 or 5:30?
On 5 o'clock would work. 'Cause I get out of school, I teach. I get out of school at 4:15-ish and then I buzz right here. So 5 o'clock would work for me.
And
Any night.
I'll do all the evenings, 5 o'clock
Okay.
or 6 o'clock. And
Yeah, I was gonna say like I might be able to do 7 o'clock on a Thursday, but it's,
We'll just see if there's another.
I have no
night.
weight game up.
But if it's only for one meeting,
Yeah,
maybe we just suck it up. and do
yeah, like you guys can meet without me. I don't, we just need a quorum. And the quorum is the.
We have to elect a,
So if we vote,
Yeah,
5
yeah.
people say
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
No, that's the,
right, yeah,
5 people say yes, that's the date we're meeting.
yes, exactly, right, all right,
I'll send out a poll.
okay, we'll send it a poll. Motion to adjourn,
so moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, Portsmouth,
6.
thank you, everyone, thank you, Chris.
So Christine, the poll will just be for September. And then
So are you affected into?
are you